Hello humans, Master DinnerFlax here, bringing you the low quality content you deserve, and today I'm going to be showing you another update for Lair. Now before we even get started, I want to mention that I will be updating Chaos Blade, but I'll only be doing it once, because the thing is, I really liked Chaos Blade a while ago. But now that heroes are back, and now that everyone knows about Isolde, it doesn't feel as special as when I started playing it. It actually doesn't, because the whole point of Chaos Blade was originally to show off, well, originally post Isolde was to show off Isolde and show off all the combos you can do with just random warriors. But now we already know what you can do with just those random warriors, and it's not even, like, impressive anymore. So I'm gonna update Chaos Blade once, and then I'm probably not gonna touch it until a format after, if any warriors get hit. Now I am testing this deck a lot because not only do I really enjoy it, but I think it's a lot better once you take out all the garbage in it. Like, when I say garbage, I mean all the traps that need a condition set, all the tribute cards, and just play as a base engine. And I'm going to go ahead and get straight into it. I've cut most of the hand traps. This isn't a final version by any means, but I just wanted to show you what I was testing with. So we got 3 Arima, just gets you extra draws, gets you Diablos, OTK Enabler, just really good card. 3 Lilith, the best card in the deck. This makes Lair with Lilith a trap card that gets trap cards, and I am under the belief that the best form of removal is tributing your opponent's stuff before they get the opportunity to respond, regardless of floating. That's what makes Kaiju so good, and it's what makes Lilith so good, because not only does she do that, but she also gets a trap afterwards for a follow-up. 2 Diablos, I bumped it up 1 more. Just because this is a heavier dark version, and I just needed the extra dark names for Allure Darkness. And 2 is actually just okay, because there's a lot more ways to trigger it now, because I cut a lot of the hand traps because they were kind of dead. And I didn't like drawing dead cards in this deck, and you're going to see there's a lot of draws in this deck. 1 Exodius, this is something I've been testing. I don't know if it'll make the final cut, but you special summon it by recycling any combo, any extra deck monsters. You recycle everything, which can be really good with artifacts, but it can sometimes be bad with back to the front, which is why I'm really iffy on it. But anyways, when it declares an attack, you send something from your deck to your graveyard, a monster. So what you do normally is you attack with them to send Diablos, and then in the battle step, you tribute him for Lilith, and that triggers Diablos to go and just push for damage, which is pretty cool, but it doesn't come up too much. It's much more of a recycler and a body that just puts itself on the board for free. 1 tour guide just has 3.5 Lilith. It gets you to Lilith, but not the way you want it. But it is still a quick effect tributor with Lair Darkness. For the artifacts, we just got 2. 1 Scythe, 1 Moral Talk. You don't need to see multiples. You never want to draw them. And, like, yeah, is pretty much it. Like, you can recycle them with Exodius. And when you have back to the front, you don't need another Sanctum. You just need to get back to the front to use it again. And then 2 Ash. I didn't want to play no hand traps yet, because I really want to, I really just don't want to lose to heroes, but there's probably going to be, in the final cut, more hand traps, but I'll find room for them. And then for the spells, 3 Allure, 3 Lair Darkness, 2 Instant Fusion, 1 Upstart. I'm going to skip these 6 cards for last. For the traps, we got 3 Reckless Greed. So I replaced the Ties engine entirely, because without the level 4s, Ties was inconsistent. But with the level 4s, everything but Ties was inconsistent. So I decided, rather than get them out of my deck with cards that require bricks, I would play cards that just drew me into cards that got me to what I wanted. And 3 Reckless Greed is very easy to get 2 on the field very quick because of Lilith. And you never want to activate Reckless in case of if you don't have more than one, unless it's an emergency, which is kind of why I want to still play hand traps, is because if you're activating Reckless in an emergency, you want to draw defense. So yeah, Reckless, very powerful. Not only is it powerful when you have 2 on field, but because of Nightmare Griffin with a lot of the cards in the deck now, you recycle it for a next 2 draws, so you'll have 6, and then Griffin gives you another draw for recycling it. So in like the span of two turns, you've drawn 7 cards at the cost of skipping 2 draw phases, which is nuts. 3 back to the front, it triggers your artifacts, and it's actually just really good in here in general. It's guaranteed revival. 3 Compulse and 3 Sanctum. So a lot of people ask me why I have this trap lineup. So all these traps have one thing in common, where none of them say when your opponent does blank. None of them say that. Reckless doesn't need your opponent to do anything. Compulse, it doesn't even need your opponent to have a monster for you to get some use out of it. Back to the front only needs a monster in your grave, which isn't hard. And Sanctum, you can just always activate. Even if there's no value in activating it, you can always just summon a level 5 out of the deck for damage during your opponent's end phase. Like, when your traps have almost, if not no activation conditions, and you can activate them whenever, they're almost as good as spell cards. And that's why I want to play these specific traps, is because there's never a time where my opponent can just attack and I can't do anything. There's always something I can do with these trap cards. So let me explain these last 6 cards. So these 6 cards I consider the power cards. 2 Phantom Skyblaster, 1 Plasma, 1 Grinder Golem, 1 Soul Charge, and 1 Super Poly. So all these cards have one thing in common. They can easily steal a game. I am very tired of trying to grind my opponent out with this deck. Because, well, you easily can, especially with Reckless Greed now, you gotta kill them fairly fast, even when you're including Reckless Greed, because if you don't kill them fast enough, those 2 draw phases are actually going to really affect you. But if you're resolving Grinder Golem, Soul Charge, Phantom Skyblaster, or even Super Poly, or summoning a Plasma, it doesn't matter. You're winning, and you could easily win. So Phantom Skyblaster, with any other monster, it's literally a Saryuja Skull Dread, which is more draws, which gets you more chances to see that double Reckless, which gets you more chances to see everything you want. Plasma, this is probably the weakest of the power cards. All it does is like tribute your access, which with Phantom Skyblaster, that's pretty good. But, and Grinder Golem, obviously. But it's a card you really want to save, kind of like a BLS in a way. You want to save it for the moment you can put them in kill range, or for the moment where you know your opponent has no recovery from it. Because it being skill drain and a relinquished is actually insanely powerful. But putting 3 monsters on the board is not as easy as it seems, even in a deck that generates a bunch of tokens. So, yeah, I just play 1. Most of the time it even gets tossed for a lure, but it's so powerful I just can't cut it yet. Soul Charge, this card should be banned. I've already explained so many times that this card shouldn't be allowed in the game anymore, but easily resolving this after a Grinder Golem combo, if you've seen Diablos, is literally unbeatable. In this deck, because you're reviving Lilith, Diablos, Grinder Golem, you're making Lynx, you're making number 38, you're just doing way too much. And then Super Poly, not only does this out the Modern U board, but more importantly, it is a trap card in a way that you can't respond to, your opponent can't respond to while Lair is up. And while Lair is up, this actually just wins you the game, because then you go into Starving Venom, which takes away 2 of their monsters, and then they have to out it, And when they out it, it still regekis their board. So it puts them really, really far behind. So, yep. For the side deck, I'm not going to explain. You've guys seen this side deck so many times. It's practically the same side deck over and over again. Whew. So for the extra, we got Winda, Restrict. This helps make Link Karibo, and it's just great removal. And with Phantom Skyblaster, it's a really nuts card. Mega Fleet, just because I don't want to waste the side deck space. Starving Venom for Super Poly, Durandal, Titanic Galaxy, Link Karibo. Sometimes I do want to play a third of this. Move this out of the extra and play a second Link Spider, because the only cards that are actually level 1 are the Grinder Golem tokens and Restrict. So you don't want to play multiple Link Karibos, but the tokens from Skyblaster and Lair are not level 1s, so you do need a second Link Spider most of the time. So then we got Link Karibo, Wee Witch, Akashek, Nightmare Phoenix, Nightmare Griffin, Nightmare Cerberus, which is, so Akashek and Nightmare Cerberus are the TCG legal Grinder Golem combo, which I'll explain after this. So Griffin, like I said, recycling either Back to the Front or Reckless Greed is just so powerful. Bomber Dragon is what you do when you have no extenders to the Grinder Golem combo. And then Skull Dread, it's kind of what Phantom Skyblaster is for. So, yep. That's about it. Let me explain the Grinder Golem combo. So, everyone knows the first phase, where you summon 2 tokens, turn them into Link 1s, and then you make Akashek to bounce to your hand. But in the second phase of the Grinder Golem combo, it pretty much ends it, because you're going to summon 2 more tokens to summon Grinder Golem. You're going to tribute 1 for Link Karibo in your grave, which you summoned, which gives a window for Diablos, by the way. And then you're going to turn those 2 into Cerberus, toss a card, pop the Grinder Golem, and you're going to draw a card. And then, if you have no other extenders, but you have Back to the Front or Artifact Sanctum, you will go for Bomber Dragon, which means you get to regeki your opponent on their turn. And if you have Sanctum, you're scything and regeking your opponent on their turn. So, yep. That's about it. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. And, yeah. I will have an update for Chaos Blade soon. I will also be updating this a lot because I think I'm finally working with Lair lists that I actually like, that I actually think are fairly decent. So, yep, that's about it. Thank you all for watching. And remember, Master DinnerFlax will take your soul.